Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online VGC 20 ladder and provide live commentary as I go. Still using the #1 ranked team from last season, as we're just going to climb up a little bit more with it. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be going to Australia for the Australian International Championships. I'm actually leaving this weekend, but the tournament isn't taking place until next weekend. So I'm going to be gone for about a week or so, and I'm going to try to pre-record as many episodes as possible so you guys have a lot of content. But in the next weekend, definitely come in and tune into that tournament. So let's just jump into today's episode. We're up against nothing too crazy here, but another Vanillux on the opposing side. What could be Moldbreaker Excadrill. And overall, like, pretty standard stuff. Reminds me a lot of Tupup's team, which we used earlier in the year, which had Whimsicott, Conkeldurr, Vanillux, and Jellicent. But to round it out, you know, you have two of the strongest physical attackers in the Excadrill and Dragapult. So we might want to consider Dynamaxing the Pessimian in this match. You know, has pretty good offensive pressure against everything, and I do like that a lot. Maybe we want to set up Trick Room. The question is who we would want to lead with. Offensive Grimmsnarl actually isn't terrible here either. The question is whether I want to hard commit and just like lead Pessimian immediately. That could be worthwhile, honestly. I mean, we could go with something like Gothitelle Pessimian, so that puts on Fake Out pressure. You can also just try to set up Trick Room immediately. So, Gothitelle Pessimian with who do I want in the back? Don't think I'm the biggest fan of Rotom, so I'm leaning towards Chandelure and actually Grimmsnarl. Offensive Grimmsnarl I think is pretty solid here, especially because you've got Life Orb Sucker Punch, which can deal really well with Jellicent and the Dragapult. But we also have Play Rough for the Conkeldurr. So, gonna get into this episode. As always, if you guys enjoy, please share support by leaving a like. Question of the day, now that Pokemon Home is that, I'm curious how you guys think it will impact the metagame. I personally haven't looked too much into it, but I will. I think it obviously adds a lot to the format, so definitely, yeah, curious about your guys' thoughts. So it's gonna be Vanillux and Jellicent. Okay, kind of a slower lead for my opponent, all things considered, honestly. It's not terrible. For us, we could pretty easily fake out the Vanillux and go for something like a Max Fighting into it. I'm curious how fast the Jellicent here is on the opposing side. Vanillux could choose the Dynamax here as well. I wouldn't expect it to, though. We could also click Trick Room here. And I'm actually maybe leaning towards that a little bit more. Like, I'm thinking Trick Room here, Dynamax, and go for a Max Knuckle onto... Well, actually, Max Rockfall is better. Yeah, because that gets rid of... that sets up the Sand, which also just eliminates Vanillux. Okay, so we're going to Dynamax first. The reason I like Trick Rooming here is because a lot of the Pokemon that I think are going to Dynamax on my opponent's team are faster offensive threats like Dragapult and Excadrill. And the one thing that really threatens me under Trick Room on my opponent's side is the Conkeldurr. Now, of course, Jellicent could choose to reverse its own Trick Room, but even if we don't get Trick Room up turn 1, it's not necessarily like the end of the world for us. So, Vanillux is actually not up to Protect. Okay, that's interesting. I don't mind that, as Jellicent is just going to go for the Shadow Ball, and we do have the Cassib Berry here. So this actually works out quite nicely. You see here that the Jellicent does outspeed us, so we get Trick Room up successfully, and now Vanillux is in a super awkward spot because we have, you know, can't go for Blizzard or Aurora Veil. You can go for Blizzard, but obviously it's going to be a lot more inaccurate, and we do like 50% of damage there to it as well, which is quite nice. Yeah, that was a critical hit, so a little fortunate crit there, but yeah, I'll definitely take that. So what we can do this next turn is... Jellicent might try to reverse my Trick Room. So we do have a pretty simple play of just going for Max Darkness and Energy Ball into Jellicent. We're not really pressured by Vanillux at all offensively here, and I think it's almost always going to want to switch out. So we could capitalize off that, go for Prediction. For example, if we go for... One thing we could do go for is Max Darkness and Psychic into the Vanillux slot, actually. But I'm not sure Psychic is knocking out Vanillux. I don't want to put on too much pressure onto that because I don't really care about it. So I'm just going to double up onto Jellicent here with Max Darkness and Energy Ball. So Pessimian's in a great spot right now. The key thing is that my opponent will have the Dynamax advantage, and Vanillux will switch out as expected. And it is going to be Dragapult. I mean, so we knock out the Jellicent here, I think we'll be in a really great spot. And it's not going to go for Protect or a Dynamax. So I think Energy Ball and Max Darkness should get the KO here. As long as it's not Dark Resist, then it's not perfect. Okay, so that's another KO. Or not another KO, the first KO. And we still have multiple turns of Trick Room to work with, which is, you know, obviously great. Now, the one thing we have to watch out for is it's actually, looks like it's Infiltrator on the Dragapult, not Clear Body. Interesting. One thing we have to watch out for is that the Dragapult here can Dynamax and effectively waste our last turn of Dynamax should we target that slot. But the fact we actually even get a special defense drop onto that slot's huge because we have so many special attackers. Another play I was considering was just going for Max Darkness and Psychic into the Dragapult slot. But yeah, this is why I wanted to prioritize Trick Room, because as you can see here, my opponent has two major offensive threats in Excadrill and Dragapult, and now Trick Room is up still for multiple turns, which is great for us. I think if we Psychic the Dragapult, it will just be in Sucker Punch KO range from offensive Grimmsnarl. So I think I'm just going to Psychic the Dragapult here and go for a Max Knuckle onto Excadrill. The one thing I'm worried about is activating a weakness policy on Excadrill. How likely is Excadrill going to have weakness policy on this team comp? That's the question. I guess even if I activate weakness policy, I've got Chandelure in the back, so it's not really the end of the world. So I'm just going to go for Psychic Wax Knuckle. If it doesn't have weakness policy, I think the game is just over here, quite honestly. Okay, the Vanillux switches in, so I'm okay with that. That's eating up a Psychic. It's going to be taking some damage. And, you know, I have great answers to Dragapult in the back with Sucker Punch. We'll see if Excadrill Dynamax is here. Okay, it is going to Dynamax, but I'm actually okay with that. We're going to do a lot of damage this turn. Even if it has weakness policy, it's really not the end of the world. And given that the Dragapult now can't Dynamax, you know, it's just going to probably faint from a Life Orb Sucker Punch from Grimmsnarl. So all we need to do is chip away at this Excadrill a little bit more, and it should just be in KO range from everything. But having Chandelure and Grimmsnarl on the back makes things pretty good for us right now. We're not going to see a Max Guard from Excadrill, which isn't too surprising here, as Psychic is actually going to get the knockout onto Vanillux too, which is nice. So we'll get a Max Knuckle off against Excadrill. This probably won't do more than like 40-50%-ish or so. Actually did more than I expect, honestly. So nice. Is it weakness policy? Doesn't look like it. Oh, it is. Sorry. That activates after. Okay, so that was the one thing I was worried about. But with multiple turns of Trick Room to work with, I don't think that's really too bad of a problem. I'm not even sure the Steel Spike gets the KO on me here. Oh, it doesn't even come close. Wow, this Indian's a beast. Okay, nice. We still have to play this smartly, though. What we basically want to do is wait for... I mean, we still have, what, 2 turns of Trick Room to work with, which I think puts us in a really good spot. Is it 2 or 1? Actually, I have to double-check that. I'm pretty content with how I played this game overall, though. The one thing we could have done differently was maybe gone for Max Steel Spike last turn. But I think going for that damage on Excadrill is worth it, even if it is weakness policy. We do have 2 turns of Trick Room to work with, which is great. So I think my opponent needs to double protect to even have a shot at this game. Brick Break's not knocking out Excadrill, I don't think, after that defense boost. So I'm leaning towards just doubling up on Excadrill. Even if you max guard that, I get a free switch in. We did get the attack boost, actually. Never mind. Brick Break might just KO, even with the defense boost. So I think I'm just going to play it safe here and just go for damage. Guaranteed damage on top both. Because I don't want to just like double up into something which max guards. And yeah, Excadrill does choose the max guard. I bet Psychic 2-shots Dragapult here, honestly. So just playing it safe here. I mean, Dragapult will probably get the KO on something. But yeah, Psychic is a 2-hit KO onto that. So we just get a free switch in this next turn. He's just going to opt for Shadow Ball into Pessimian. Yep, that makes sense. I wonder if we survive this with the Assault Vest, honestly. We actually do. But unfortunately, Hail will finish us off here. But I'll take that. Even if my opponent gets the double protect here, like I'm thinking maybe I go for Heat Wave instead, or sorry, Shadow Ball instead of Psychic, or sorry, Shadow Ball instead of Heat Wave. Because with offensive Grimmsnarl on the back, once Dynamax ends, we can just Sucker Punch to close out this game, and Dragapult will faint from another turn of Life Orb and Hail, I think. So I could just Shadow Ball and Energy Ball the Excadrill here. Alternative is just an Energy Ball here. Oh, I am worried about it getting a double protect, though. Maybe we just go Psychic Heat Wave here. That covers every option. I think Dragapult might protect here. If we miss Heat Wave... No, okay, he's going to go for the double. Nice. Yeah. So what I didn't want to do was go for Shadow Ball, Energy Ball into Excadrill, have it max guard, and then Dragon Pulse just knocks out my Chandelure. So since we were ahead, I just wanted to distribute damage across the board, and we were able to pull that off. So the main thing that worked out really well for us this game was the lead, and being able to set up Trick Room immediately on turn 1, basically, and then denying the potential Trick Room reversal from Jellicent. So yeah, I'm really happy about how that played overall. I don't think I would have really changed too many different plays. Maybe turn 1 we could have gone for Max Fighting into Vanillux, but I like Max Rock Vault there still, because if Vanillux chooses to just go for Aurora Veil, like I think we just get the knockout onto it. I'm guessing it was Focus Sash, and as it was Cassie Berry, yep, Sash Vanillux, Kobo Whimsicott, so pretty similar to Tupup's team. It was Weakness Policy in the end, AV Conkeldurr, and then Life Orb Dragapult with no Protect, which is interesting, so yeah. The main thing I didn't want to do here is basically attacking to protects. I kind of was making that mistake in the last game of yesterday's episode, actually. And I don't know, in those positions, like, it will take a fair amount of RNG for your opponent to pull it off. But since we were so far ahead and I had the offensive Grimmsnarl on the back, I knew that if Excadrill's max guarding, it's going to just be in Sucker Punch KO range from Life Orb Grimmsnarl in the late game. So all we need to do is pick up what KO on one of the 2 Pokemon and we'll win the game. So, another Vanillux here. It's interesting to see how quickly Vanillux has really risen in popularity in this metagame. I mean, the Trick Room route seems pretty good again, and Passimian could be a great Pokemon to Dynamax once again since it hits everything for super solid damage. The question is, how do we set up Trick Room? Because both Chandelure and Gothitelle are immensely threatened by Tyranitar. So something I'm afraid of, for example, is like Tyranitar Togekiss lead. I don't have a great way around that. I actually think that's a really bad matchup for us. The one way around Tyranitar Togekiss is leading Rotom, because we can Dynamax and like max Lightning into Togekiss. That doesn't seem terrible. I'm actually thinking of leading Rotom Chandelure here, honestly. I don't like Gothitelle into this matchup. Like, competitive is really never going to get boosted, and it's threatened immensely by Tyranitar, which I think pretty much always comes out from my opponent's end. I think I'm going to bring Passimian in the back, and for the last one, offensive Grimmsnarl could still provide some utility. It's not hitting much for super effective here. But I think it's probably still more useful than Vanillux, especially because we do have Fake Out Pressure with it as well. So, yeah, I'm going to bring Rotom this time around. I don't know, the Tyranitar matchup for this team isn't, like, amazing, and, like, Passimian is solid as a lead, but as we saw in, I think, the first game of yesterday's episode against Colin, like, I just lost, I lost Rotom too easily. In that game, I should have Dynamaxed Passimian, but I don't know, the Togekiss threat really scares me here. It's going to be Whimsicott Duraludon, though. Okay. It's not really what I wanted to see, and that's kind of frustrating, because if we just go with, like, Gothitelle Chandelure, it's a super free Fake Out into Whimsicott and Trick Room. Although, this actually could be, Dragon Tail Duraludon. Now that I think about it. So it's not the lead I was expecting. I don't think I'll be able to get Trick Room up easily. I'm actually thinking of Dynamaxing Chandelure and just going for Max Flare into Duraludon, because I think that might choose to Dynamax. How big of a threat is Duraludon to us? I'd say a pretty big threat, to be honest. I think I'm going to double up with Thunderbolt and Max Flare. I think Duraludon very rarely protects here. By Dynamaxing Chandelure, that does cover for a potential Dragon Tail, but it is just going to Dynamax Duraludon. So, yeah, if it didn't have Dragon Tail, then if we just let Gothitelle Chandelure, like, we could have gotten Trick Room up pretty easily, but I felt like our matchup against Tyranitar was way too bad to just lead Chandelure and Gothitelle. So we're probably going to be... I mean, I feel like Whimsicott here either goes for... I wonder if Moonblast plus, like... I guess what I'm scared of here is Max Darkness. If there's Max... I actually didn't really consider that too much. If there is Max Darkness coming up from Duraludon, that's going to dunk us pretty hard, I think. Like Moonblast Max Darkness. I'm not sure we survive that if it's Life Orb. So, I don't know what I do in this position. I don't think I click Trick Room. He's just going for Moonblast. Let's see if there's Max Darkness coming out. Yeah, he's got it. That's frustrating. That doesn't KO though, actually. That does not do nearly as much as I thought it would. Is it Life Orb too? If not, it's probably Assault Vested. Nope, it's not. Okay, so yeah, it's probably AV. That does not look like AV damage. I mean, it took a lot. I think Max Flare gets the KO here, so let's see. Huh. Alright, I'll take that. That's why I wanted to Dynamax Chandelure there. One play we could have made was switch out Rotom into Passimian to potentially get a boost on Defiant. But I didn't think it was worth it there. I'm not sure if it's Assault Vest through Aldon, whether Thunderbolt really finishes off that off though and gets me the knockout, so I don't know. Either way though, at least we have the Dynamax advantage. The problem here is that my opponent still has a lot of Pokemon that are speedier than me, and Tyranitar is going to come out here, which obviously puts on a lot of offensive pressure. The one good thing about Tyranitar being out is it can't Dynamax, plus it also breaks the Sash on Whimsicott. The downside is we have to worry about activating like a weakness policy, which kind of sucks. Leaning towards protecting Chandelure here, and what I could do is actually switch out into Grimmsnarl, because then I can just fake out the next turn. So then the question is, how likely do I think Rotom is getting Moonblasted here? It's not a non-zero possibility. Maybe it's too risky to switch out here. I think I'm just going to go for Thunderbolt onto Whimsicott and Max Guard the Chandelure here. Maybe we'll switch out Chandelure. Let's see, Tailwind? Okay, that's fine. Rock Slide probably. Yeah, okay. So into Max Guard. So we could have switched out into Grimmsnarl there, but I didn't know how I felt about that play. Is that Life Orb? Yeah, it is. And they flinch. That sucks. I guess that doesn't make that much of a difference. It's not like I'm getting much damage off there anyway. So one way, we're in a really like awkward spot right now because like there's just so much damage output from my opponent's side. And you can pretty easily just go for Rock Slide Moonblast here. So maybe I just wait for the double free switch in, honestly. Yeah, I'm just gonna Thunderbolt and go for Max Flare here into Whimsicott. You could also miss the Rock Slide onto Chandelure. But Moonblast is gonna come out and it's gonna target Rotom. So let's see if Rock Slide double connects here. Oh, that actually just knocks out outright. Okay. Yeah. And he's just gonna single target Rock Slide, which should KO us with Life Orb, yeah. So this is the, yeah, I don't know, like, if we set up Trick Room in this game, we win, but it's just really hard to set up Trick Room, and this is the downside of Dynamaxing Chandelure. A matchup against Tyranitar becomes infinitely worse. But we do now have Passimian and Grimmsnarl, which are obviously two pretty decent Pokemon to bring out here. The problem is, I mean, I think we definitely fake out Whimsicott. Question is, do you have Protect on that? What we could do here is just fake out. What I'm worried about, though, is Togekiss being the last one. So I might not try to knock out Whimsicott here, even though I think Tyranitar protects, because Fake Out plus Sand plus Sucker Punch maybe knocks out Whimsicott, and maybe we can pick up a double KO. But if Togekiss is my opponent's last one, I think we lose this game anyway. And Tyranitar does correctly protect. Yeah, okay. But I don't know. I think if I give a free switch into Togekiss here, I just lose the game. But I don't. Yeah, that's not doing enough. Never mind. Fake Out and Sucker Punch is definitely not doing enough. So I should have knocked out Whimsicott here, I think. Yeah, I don't know why I thought it would get the knockout there. That might have some investment, honestly, in bulk. I'd probably lose to whatever's in the back, to be honest, because I don't have the speed advantage. So I'm not really sure I had many options here. I would just go for Sucker Punch and Brick Break onto Tyranitar, yeah. Yeah, like I assessed, I thought Tyranitar would be a really big threat. Oh, that was really close. But was able to hang on with just a bit. That's where the difference, where if we got that Thunderbolt off with Rotom, this could be a different game. So that was unfortunate, the flinch there, but that's what happens when you have to go up against Tyranitar. It really would have come down to what my opponent's last Pokemon was anyway. Just going for Rock Slide, okay. Actually still does a lot, single target and Life Orb. I don't know how I would have approached this game differently. In best of one, it's pretty tough. I guess we'll see what my opponent's last one is. If it was Togekiss, maybe Sucker Punch plus Iron Head would have been enough to knock out. I just don't... If I give my opponent a free switch in from Togekiss by knocking out Whimsicott, then you just click Dazzling Gleam and Rock Slide. So that's why I didn't want to get the KO that turn. It's actually Dracovish in the end. I wonder if 2 Life Orb Sucker Punches knock that out. I wonder... I mean, that's probably... It was going to outspeed us. So, yeah, this was a pretty tough matchup. I think Tyranitar is not the best Pokemon for this team to go up against. Let's see, if we do knock out the Whimsicott, then it is a 2v1. I mean, yeah, I think if we get maybe some higher rolls and KO the Whimsicott there too, we can win, because then it's a 2v1, and then I don't think Dracovish can 2v1, because we have Life Orb, Sucker Punch, and Burk Break. And, actually, Dracovish probably targets the Grimmsnarl. So, unless Life Orb, Sucker Punch plus Burk Break KOs, Vicious Run should KO us the next turn. So, yeah, really nice lead by my opponent to not lead with Tyranitar. Togekiss didn't even end up coming out, and I brought Rotom because I was scared of the Togekiss. Alright, we're going to find our third opponent of the day. Let's see what it brings us. So, that's a Surfetched. Interesting. It's, pretty obvious, like, Trick Room oriented team. So this is where, like, Gothitelle and Chandelure could both be pretty good, especially maybe Dynamax Chandelure in this one, honestly, because we've got Max Overgrowth, which can help out against Rhyperior and the Gastrodon, although Dynamax Grimmsnarl is still something to certainly consider. Gonna have to really watch out for Rhyperior. I think that's the thing that really scares me the most. So I want to bring both Gothitelle and Chandelure because we've got double Energy Ball in those. Might want to lead with that, honestly, here. The question is, what does my opponent go for? Do you just go Dusclops, NDD, follow me, Trick Room turn 1? It's definitely, I could see that happening for sure. I think I like Gothitelle Chandelure here, though. We have so much flexibility in who we want to Dynamax. And who do we want in the back? Don't think yeah, it's not that great here. We have Foul Play on Rotom, which could touch the Rhyperior. I guess I like Vanillux here for Gastrodon. And Rotom here for the Rhyperior. So, alright, let's see how things play out. These matchups are always so weird because it's like I normally set up Trick Room with this team, but it's not like a hard Trick Room team, and so there are certainly games where you don't need it up. And my opponent here is a team where Trick Room could potentially... In Trick Room, I think it's pretty much always a strategy. But they could just go, like, lead NDD Rhyperior, for example. yeah. So I gotta wonder, does my opponent know about this team? Because if you don't, what we can do? I feel like you probably go for Follow Me and then max Rockfall into Chandelure. That's just the safest play. So how do I get around that? I don't really have a way around max Rockfall personally. I think we'll probably Dynamax Chandelure here. I don't think Dynamax Grass knocks out Rhyperior from Gothitelle. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? Maybe I'm not going to Dynamax turn 1. I'm going to Heat Wave Psychic. I feel like you pretty much always follow me, Dynamax Rhyperior. So what this allows me to do is just get a lot of free damage off. And then we can maybe Dynamax the Gothitelle the next turn. Psyche and Psyche Train also does a fair amount of damage to Rhyperior. I think we went up against this exact lead a couple of days ago, right? I don't remember. Yeah, so there's Follow Me. So no surprise there. I don't want to... If my opponent doesn't know about this team, I don't want to reveal the max Overgrowth quite yet. Yeah, so the good thing here is that we're faster. The bad thing is that Rhyperior can just do so much damage to either, especially if it Rock Falls Chandelure, which it looks like it's going for. Yeah, that was expected. That's why I didn't want to Dynamax that, but I think that's fine. Okay, so what do we want to do here? We'll get a free switch into something. You know, the main thing is that my opponent has committed to Dynamax, and it is Life Orb. Is this the same team from the other day? Honestly, I don't remember, because that was Life Orb Rhyperior as well, wasn't it? If I remember correctly. Or am I misremembering things? Let's see. I'm honestly fine going out into Vanillux. Yeah, because what we can do is actually just go for Blizzard, Dynamax, Gothitelle, and max Overgrowth into Rhyperior. That might just get the knockout, honestly. If that does, I feel like we just win the game. So that's why I didn't want to Dynamax turn 1. I didn't feel like we needed to, and now we're actually not in a bad spot. I think this play works out pretty decently. Don't know what the Indeedee is going to want to go for here. Might opt just for a follow me, but if it does, that's fine. Could go for a heal pulse, but even with heal pulse, I'm not sure Rhyperior survives this double up. So yeah, it's crazy that this team actually likes to Dynamax Gothitelle a fair amount of times. But I think that's what makes this team really cool. Like we've Dynamaxed every Pokemon already with it, so you get a lot of flexibility. He's just following me. Oh, that's great. Manalik should be faster here. So yeah. Oh, that does so much damage to Rhyperior by itself. We didn't need. Is that a crit onto it? Yeah, it looks like. I think Max Overgrowth is still the safe play here. Oh my god, that's satisfying. Alright, so that's gone. We still have 2 turns of Dynamax left. Terrain is set up, so we'll be doing more with Max Overgrowth now, which could help out against the potential Gastrodon in the back. If my opponent actually brought that Arcanine, it will activate competitive. We have yet to get competitive activated with this Gothitelle, so I'd love to see that happen right now. But either way, I think we're in a phenomenal spot right now. This is where I wish I had an Aurora Veil just to support Gothitelle even more. Especially because this Gothitelle is more offensive. But yeah, I get why. Like, if you're running offensive weakness policy, Vanillux. So it's Dusclops. That's not a threat to us at all at this point. And Gastrodon, which is perfect to see. That's exactly what we want to see. Because without Dynamax, like, these Pokemon aren't even threatening us very much. That team pretty much revolves entirely around Rhyperior. We could see, like, the thing is now we have to, like, play around Ally Switch shenanigans. You could pretty easily max or just protect Trick Room here. I think I'm just going to max Overgrowth in Blizzard. That covers Ally Switch. If you protect, we'll still do damage through protect. And my opponent just ends up forfeiting. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to win against Dynamax, Gothitelle, and Vanillux at that point. So, yeah, we were able to weather the storm against Rhyperior. That lead is scary, right? But the thing is, I think, like, actually, the thing is, if you target the Gothitelle, then my Chandelure can just choose the Dynamax. I actually probably wouldn't Dynamax. I think what could be scary is if Rhyperior targets Gothitelle 2 times in a row, because, like, you still one-shot Chandelure and Vanillux, even if I'm Dynamaxing, I think. So, yeah, we kind of baited the attack, basically, into the Chandelure. Got the knockout, got a lot of free damage, got the free switch into Vanillux, and so things played out pretty perfectly there. Glad I ended up bringing Vanillux, because I wasn't exactly sure about what I wanted my back Pokemon choices to be, but Vanillux ended up working out quite nicely for us here. And, yeah, I don't know. I think if Rhyperior goes down in that team, it's really, really difficult to win, because you're pretty much always Dynamaxing, I would say, Rhyperior or Gastrodon, and you really want to get, like, as much mileage off as possible with that. So if you're not able to, then it's a lot more difficult, I think, to be able to squeak through. So the fact we were able to just knock out Rhyperior in a short amount of time made it a lot easier. So yeah, that's going to conclude it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed, please show support by leaving a like. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be streaming this Friday at my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Cybertron. Also going to be flying over to Australia on Saturday, and I'll be there for the next week, where I'll be commentating the Melbourne International Championships. So hope to meet some of you guys there. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. All right, peace.